Hi. I just gave a whole spiel, and once again, the camera wasn't running. Jesus, I need somebody in the, you know, in the control room because oops, look at this. I just got out of the shower and, so I'm sort of a hot mess here. Yeah, if you could, what the subscribing does is just, if you care to know when I post videos. And it also lets YouTube logarithm know. Did I say Facebook? Oh, no, I think that was in the part that didn't record. YouTube will make it more accessible so more people can see it. And that's true with sharing it too. There's a little thing that says share. What that does is if you want to, you think it would resonate with one of your friends or something like that, it has options like you can email it, you can post it on Facebook if you want people to see it there. So it's disseminating it a little bit more. Role, the roles can be reversed. You can seem to be identifying with one person 1 minute, and then suddenly it seems like you're identifying with the other side. Which is how sometimes we have that capacity to sort of really see into the other guy's position. And this is about metaphor, analogy. It's the cards give a certain read. They mean certain things that I kind of will make analogous to something in my life. This is to this, like that is to that. It's a certain way of thinking that sort of sees connections. And I had another friend of mine say, and drive you crazy. And I suppose so, but as a writer and as a reader of books and tarot and all kinds of stuff, that ability to see something in the, whatever's the other thing, and then be able to relate it to yourself, or to see things in the world that echo each other, sort of similar energies. Is that Kleenex behind you? Yes, it is. I'm sorry. That's like hot mess. So focus, Liza. And so what I'm conveying here is an analogy, and you have to see how you're the one who gets to determine whether or not it somehow relates to something in your life. And where since time is fluid, roles are fluid, all the stuff that you think you could nail down, you're not really nailing down in tarot, because it's a symbolic system, and it describes a narrative. And whether you find yourself in this story or where, you could feel like it's where you've come from, or where you are now, or where you're going forward. And that might even appear in the reading, a sort of chronological thing. I'm trying to keep this part short, so I'll just, enough said. I'll have to repeat this stuff, for me as well as for you. It clarifies. So, I had a couple of springboards today, things that popped out at me, or, quotes I remembered or whatever. And because I will take a little phrase and put it, several of them on index cards. And I don't know if this is even frontwards or backwards to you. Yeah, I think it's backwards. It says talking stick. And so that sort of jumped out at me. I had it on my desk in a very prominent position. And to me, it speaks to the idea, well, you can have a group of people, and the person holding the talking stick kind of has the floor. and is, shouldn't be interrupted, and it's their chance to just put it out there. And what I what I realized is, like, sometimes you don't have to take the talking stick. You might not be ready to take the talking stick. You might be too concerned with the impact of what you say, or it's just not ripe in you yet. And as somebody who's very interested in kind of communication and speech and being able to understand stuff, I can be pretty demanding of tell me what's going on. Tell me. Just tell me. I don't like being in the dark. So you don't want to, when they don't want to talk, which is everybody's prerogative. I mean, there are things I will not talk about, or where I'll cut conversations off when it starts to seem to go off the rails and just get weird. But I think it's important not to make the talking stick a kind of bludgeon, either by what you say when you have it, or when somebody won't talk and you want them to, like punish them for it and weaponize the words. Won't talk to me, I'll show you, kind of thing. So that was one, and maybe the principal thing that came to me is just, to a certain degree, you have to let the communication flow. When it's ready to flow, it's not something you can kind of, hold somebody's feet to the fire and expect them to tell their truth. This is another thing that was sort of, and I swear I'll try to cut this short, but I was talking to a good friend of mine who happened to be a man, and I sort of held his feet to the fire vis-a-vis how men communicate. I mean, that whole bullshit about men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or whatever, like different love languages, which I think is true in a way. So I just said, like, what? I mean, I sort of with a gross generalization, asking him to answer for his gender. And we all know I just said gender's fluid, but I was directing this to a biological man about men as a group, which is just dubious. It's overgeneralization. But I said, why don't you guys talk? Why don't you talk? I just think a lot of women I know say the same thing. And a lot of guys are like, Jesus Christ, really? Is there that much to hash over? Don't you get where we're, what? And I think it's interesting, like, supposedly when women talk, they like to face each other. Men talk more easily facing forward, like in a car or something like that. I don't know where that might be bunk, but so there are different modes of communication, and I guess what I'm trying to say is we just need to learn each other's language in a certain way and respect it. Yeah, so let's go. I think we're going to start with this deck, which is not one I've worked with very much and will be new to you, but pretty, again, the imagery is pretty obvious. And it's always pentacles, cups, wands, swords, representing roughly earthy things. Things primarily to do with feelings. Things primarily to do with passion or direction or inspiration. And things to do with mental clarity and thought and communication, that talking stick ability. When it's when it's working well, a lot can happen. Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups can happen. This is the kind of fundamental energy of connection, of the opportunity for connection, which gets opened up. And it's a heart heartfelt connection. So this communication is not cold energy. It's not picking up the talking stick and poking somebody with it till they respond, which I've been known to do, to friend and foe, and to myself. Well, this is weird because this is a card I'm not familiar with, and it's not a traditional tarot card of any kind. It says it's the Knight. And it depicts somebody in the water and somebody in the tree and the moon. Things look different at night. It's sort of the moon card in the tarot is a bit like that. It's a bit spooky. It can be unfamiliar terrain. It's a different way of operating. Your eyes need to get used to it. It's a different way of seeing, and sometimes you're feeling your way. And it's emotional. I mean, this person's in the water. It's a sort of a bad drawing, but it depicts somebody like sort of in a river, crying. Cry me a river. And that's water energy. A good reason to something to get clarity on. Oh shit. Seven of Swords. It's kind of an oh shit energy. I mean, in this one, the most obvious thing, and it's true in traditional Rider-Waite, which shows a guy having 3 swords that he's carrying, and 4 that kind of don't belong to him. And the 3 of Swords indicates heartbreak, separation, hurt. And the 4 of Swords is about healing the hurt. And he's hanging on to the hurt. He's hanging on to the hurt. He, she, they, gender. But it's somebody sort of actively holding on to those 3 of Swords. But why? Hierophant. This is a card of, well, it can be kind of consulting with your higher power or higher self. The part of you that has sort of learned a lesson and can, show it to other people. It can have that, it's somebody in the top of the hierarchy who can kind of teach people, and it also has a slight implication of, I can tell you what to do, because it can indicate a belief system that's rigid, that has rules that you have to obey. And see, there's this big teacher person, the person at the head of the hierarchy, and then these 2 little dinky, almost can't see them, and they're 2 devotees, 2 monks, disciples, and disciple discipline. I mean, you become a devotee through obeying, certain rules and kind of deferring to something else. Could be your higher power, could be like a repressive, or a rigid belief system. We'll see. Or whatever it is, Temperance. This is that healing. I mean, in this one, again, maybe I don't like this deck very much, but it has, the person mixing the 2 vessels, tempering something. It's a kind of alchemical adjustment that brings something into balance. Each element needs the other to alchemize, to manifest something, to heal something. So we were talking about it, this person hanging on to the hurt. Well, there's a healing. There is a healing available. This temperance energy, which sort of is like divine timing. It's also, in this one, there's this very prominent path that leads to a healing place. And the mixture has something to do with the feelings. And maybe a lot of other stuff too, but it's a blend. It's a synthesis of two things, which would suggest that if this is the repressive energy, it's getting healed. The lesson may be, put down your hurt. Put down your hurt. And go to, into the balance, into the, I always drop that card and look, Butterfingers. Go into this place of sort of reconciliation. And it's to do with time. Well, rats. I mean, I shouldn't say rats because this is the devil card, which has, in traditional tarot readings, a very negative connotation. And it can mean codependency. It can mean being stuck. It can mean being afraid, being manipulated. I mean, it usually has a person under the control of something and tied to something. And in this case, the person is bigger than the devil. So, and I see the devil as the ability to work hard, because it's Capricorn energy. It's a hard-working energy. Cabbies just don't give up. So to me, it's somebody who's seeking liberation, like for as long as it takes, to identify what is toxic, because that's another meaning of devil, to extricate yourself from it, to see it, wherever it appears, whatever its face it. Face the fear. Extricate yourself. Oh, I love it. The Fool. A lot of major arcana here. I mean, I count the Knight, even though it's not a traditional tarot card. Temperance, Devil, Hierophant, Fool. And this is, the new beginning. Sort of the psyche setting out. It sort of speaks to ego, not in a negative sense, but just in the sense of this is this person willing to take a risk. I mean, look, he's stepping right off the edge. So there's that sort of, what boundary? He's looking up. He's just, here we go. And so there's some concern that, will he reach the other side? And it has that slight tinge of recklessness, depending on the cards around it. It can even be, sort of foolish. But it's a stage we all have to go through. It's the, at the beginning of that sort of major arcana, which is what this is largely about, heavy hitting energies. It's like, it's the beginning of that cycle. through, the individual traveling through, they're kind of not a 3D kind of journey. It's the big journey leading to the last. This is the first card of the major arcana. And the last card is World, which is sort of ultimate portal. Everything is made new. Sorry, this hair is just... Oh, I love it. Ten of Pentacles. It's sort of weird because here it's depicted as one person surrounded by all this pentacle energy, things that matter to them. It's about 3D energy. What literally matters, as in matter. But, usually it's depicted as a card of, like, the group, sometimes the family, sometimes, just that card of home and 3D connection. And it's usually of a bunch of people. And in this deck, it's one guy lying in a bed. So I don't know, there may be some subtle thing that'll come out ultimately, but again, I'm not sure I like this deck. Well, here's the moon. Remember I said, there's the night with the moon in the background. There's the moon card. So they are kind of similar. And this also has the weeping phase. And the weeping phase. But I think that the difference between the night, as in kind of darkness, and the moon is pretty significant in that the moon card speaks to intuition, to things you might not be able to see very clearly, but you kind of know, you can feel your way through the night. It's dark, but it's not really dark. And there's this path, this sort of moon trail. Didn't we see the trail somewhere else? Well, it's implicit in the Fool. Oh yeah, and in Temperance. They both sort of have trails. Temperance is Sagittarius energy, by the way. Hierophant is Taurus. Fool is Aries. Devil is Capricorn. Moon is Pisces. It's a landscape. Pisces is a card of feeling. Sort of feeling your way through. Something that's not apparent yet, that's not conscious yet maybe, that hasn't appeared, that's on its way to revealing itself. It can also speak to secrets and secrecy and keeping secrets and all of that, but I just don't see that anywhere here. Except maybe in the Seven of Swords, which can also, a major meaning of that can be dissembling, sneaky energy. So there's a slight echo of that here. And the two weeping faces. Well, it's a Piscean card. It's a card of deep feeling. We don't really know what the moon in the reflection. I was trying to see if it's not a weeper. But it's in the water. It's in deep feeling. And there's a domesticated dog and a wolf. And these two sort of almost like opposing energies in the background. Something in that's connected but separate at the same time. And the dog and the wolf, basically. I don't know if you can see it, focus. Well, trust me, there's a dog and there's a wolf. And, what differentiates the dog from the wolf is not very much. In terms of genetic whatever, they're fairly recently separated into a different species. So whatever these, whatever these apparent opposites are, I'm holding it upside down. These apparent opposites are maybe only apparent. There's a murky quality to this. Okay, let's clarify. This is a bit of a confusing read, and it may be in part because I've not worked with this deck very much. I like the colors in the deck a lot, but the imagery is a little murky to me. And this isn't a traditional Rider-Waite, but it's closer to it maybe, and the depictions are sort of less, they're more apparent. So here we go. We're going to go from the Fool backwards. Wow. Hermit. Hermit is a card of Virgo. It's a card of, going to the mountaintop, withdrawing from a situation in order to get the lesson, in order to absorb a lesson. And it's almost like, it has an implication. For some reason, I'm getting this sense that, it's to get an understanding from everything you've learned thus far. Because Hermit is a card of understanding, it's a card of the sage, it's a card of epiphany in its way. But it's a slower, it's Virgo energy. It's a more stable, it's not like Tower blowing your mind. But this is an energy of coming to an understanding. And it's not reckless. This Fool energy, whatever it is, this risk, this leap, is like based on, it seems to me, it's not foolish. It's not. It may be impulsive in the way that you follow your impulses. It is a card of Wand energy, which is intuitive energy. But it's based on a stable Earth sign Virgo energy of, I've come to an understanding. I've taken some time to sort of remove myself, to understand myself and the situation. And whatever you've come to understand, it, kind of enables this leap forward. Hermit also kind of lights the path. So it's not like we've got the card of darkness, remember, in Moon. Hermit is a card, usually a guy holding a lantern. Yeah, here there's a lantern, but you can't, it's not very prominent. Usually it's lit up. So the Hermit is lighting a path. It's not really in the dark. You're not really in the dark. Ace of Cups again, right? When we see those duplicates, it was the first card out. So a leap, lighting the path to this opportunity for feeling, connection, love. In Ten of Pentacles, it's clarifying Ten of Pentacles, the card of abundance, and usually the card of everybody. In this case, it's, aces can be personal in a sense, like talking about the individual. Ten of Pentacles kind of more speaks to the group. But in this case, you see it's the one person. It's not group abundance. It's somehow, if it's the trickle down theory, it's really a gusher, because this is more like Nine of Pentacles. So again, I'm a little confused, but which is independent, self-sufficient energy. But this again, it speaks to the individual, as does this. And whatever that abundance is, Ten of Pentacles, it results in an opportunity for you to connect in an abundant way. Get on with it, Liza. Six of Wands. And in a victorious way. This is a card of, of the guy being seen. So, in some ways, it's you're seen. Some people say it's a card of, again, of ego, but in that way that isn't toxic. The ego is the individual, the fool making the leap, loving themselves, Ace of Cups, and then being able to give it to somebody else. So whatever victory this is, because that's another meaning of Six of Wands, it has to do with bringing things to clarity, the moon, feeling your way through intuitively in Wands energy, which is intuitive. I mean, the moon is a water sign card, that feelings, but this is intuitive energy, moon energy. I'm not really in the dark. And it's brought me someplace successful. On Hierophant, we have the Page of Pentacles. This is a young energy, a new energy. It can be somebody, a face-to-face kind of, because it's in Pentacles. It's about Pentacles, which is about things you can see, touch, taste. It's not like, somebody sending a vibe through the air. It's more solid than that. And it's not a huge thing, but it's a start. It's a start. So, and it's on Hierophant. And either way you read it, it's from this lesson, from this kind of higher self teaching. You maybe get a building block. You might not get the whole belief system or buy the whole belief system, because it's rare that we enter into, I like to draw on all the belief systems, except the fucked up ones. But this is pretty much like taking the raw energy of what you already know and what you're discovering and building something, maybe something more solid. Seven of Wands, of Rods, which is often a card of blocking and defensiveness, and sometimes of a need to defend yourself. Like in this card, he's not bashing people, he's just holding on to one, and it does look like he's sort of barring the door. Barring the door. But it's right on top of Six of Wands, that victorious energy, that inspirational, I did it kind of energy. I did it. And this is what I didn't do, maybe. I knew what to do and what not to do. I knew where to go and where not to go. I knew who to let. It's a card of boundaries, sort of. I knew who to let in and who to block. And when, maybe temperance, you know, and it may be a time to unblock. Because this is a card, Devil is a card of being stuck often. So let's see. 7 of Wands, 7 of Rods. Blocking your own intuition? Well, okay, got a flipper. This is 4 of Cups. This can be somebody who feels they've missed an opportunity, and they really haven't, because it's right, if they just looked up, it's right there. There's the cup. You know, there's an implication of this guy is sort of ignoring the 3. They're not the ones he wants. He wants something else, and it's right there. You know, it's sort of Ace of Cups. It's right there. And, you know, it can be missing an opportunity or ignoring something or not being able to see it. And it's clarifying Devil, blocked energy. But remember I said Capricorn, it indicates an ability to work with blocked energy, to work hard in a Capricorn way. Maybe even too hard, you know, like that talking stick image. You know, I think something's stuck and I don't get an explanation. You know, you don't want to beat somebody up. Yeah, I don't know how that fits in. So, we have Page of Cups. Again, this sort of love being proffered. Not a huge, you know, it's not a deluge of love. Even though we have Ace of Cups twice, here's sort of the delivery boy, because it's a young energy, delivery girl. You know, it's a childlike energy in a way. But that's sort of not, it's innocent. It's not tarnished. It's not cynical. It kind of believes in this possibility. And for God's sake, it's clarifying Ace of Cups. This first Ace of Cups. So it's like there's the love, and somebody's probably trying to hand it to you. And it can be a card of apology. Like, I've got the love now, Ace of Cups. I've loved myself, and now I'm going to give you some. I filled my own cup. Let me offer you something. And it might be an apology. 7 of Swords kind of almost requires an apology. Well, Ace of Swords, I like that. That's the card of clarity, of speech, you know, talking stick. This is the talking stick. Sword energy is about communication. You know, 7 of Swords energy is about a failure to communicate, kind of. You could see it that way. Because it's a card of dissembling and deception. Can be. It can also be just getting out of a situation that, you know, you might not be able to get out in a straightforward way. Well, this would suggest, yes, you can. You know what to say. You know what you need to do. You've gotten personal clarity. And it's sort of like the truth is coming out. Oh, I'm sorry. It goes on the night. You know, so this murky business, this so deep in your face, you're weeping, you know, under the full moon. It's like almost going under, you know, keeping your chin above water, or however you say it. It may be sort of there's so much feelings and so much you're in the dark about. And maybe that whoever you're trying to communicate is also in the dark about. But this is sort of the light, the knowledge, the clarity. It's really not that murky. It's not that murky. And on Seven of Swords, I love it, justice. Libra energy. Sword in hand, right? Clarity. A great expression of sword energy. Making a decision. Justice. It's about balance. It's about truth. And it's on Seven of Swords, which is about kind of untruth, you know. It can be a sort of card of karma, and has an implication of coming clean, possibly righting a situation that was imbalanced, or where you were Seven of Swordsing somebody. You were hanging on to your hurt. Well, that's being set right by this conversation. I mean, it really says, take up the talking stick. Do it. Dare to do that. To get through the murk, to get through the blocks, to get through how you're resisting, going to this balanced healing place. You know, there's an element of refusing to see it. Something that's very good for you. That's an offer of somehow of love that you're not seeing. But you're working with it. You're working the Seven of Swords. That's a challenging energy. Deceiving somebody else, deceiving yourself, you know, exiting a situation and to kind of, I don't want to be seen doing this. This is somebody willing to work with that. I think this is a nice read. I really do. I mean, the devil energy, the blockage, if you want to say it that way, is through maybe having an expectation that wasn't met. But you're not seeing that in some way it is met. It's there. That cup. Somebody's trying to offer it to you. You know? And something's blocking perhaps your ability to see it. Or somebody else's ability to see your cup. Because they're stuck or afraid, or there's something that they perceive as toxic. Well, if it was secretive Seven of Swords, you know, kind of a lie that created a toxicity and a block and some kind of, because devil is also inequality and fear and, I mean, just a ration of shit. It's being righted. It's coming into balance through this sort of clear thinking. I don't know what else to... Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, because this came out in a sort of pre-shuffle in a different deck, this popped out. Eight of Wands. It's a card of communication, and I just think that's significant because we had talking stick as sort of the jumping off point. This is a conversation, a back and forth volley, sort of. It's not solved in one by stating one truth. It's a question of returning to this energy, to clear up the murk, that Knight card, to clear up any sort of thing that's murky or in the dark. And it'll take a fair amount of talking stick energy and back and forth. Not the thing I was talking about at the beginning where, I get frustrated when somebody won't communicate with me. Well, this is back and forth communication. This is passing the talking stick back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. With good results, I would say, really good results. It's wand energy. Purposeful, directed. I mean, wherever these guys are, this is like sending it to a particular place. It can also mean travel, flow, but principally it's not failure to communicate. That was a cool hand Luke, right before he got shot up at the end. He said, what we have here is a failure to communicate. And the prison big boss, they shot him. Anyway, it's a great movie, and it doesn't end well, except that he's an inspiration to the rest of the people. And this is, wands are inspirational energy. Whatever this conversation is, whatever this volley, you have the stick now. Now you have, everybody gets to say everything they need to say. And it brings things into balance and clarity, and it's based on the truth. Not on Seven of Swords, kind of like, I'll sneak, I won't say what I mean, I won't mean what I say. This is, this is absolute opposite. This is like based on a hermit energy removal, coming back into this communicative conversation with somebody. Love it. All signs, and again, if you I kept saying, share it. That's not really the big deal. The big deal is to support the channel, so that there is a channel. It really helps if you give it the thumbs up. There's a little thumbs up icon, and if you subscribe, and then it will show you a series of bell. There's a white bell, there's a black bell, and there's a bell, I think, with a slash through it. And one is notify me of everything you post. I'd like to hear about all the posts through not an obnoxious notification, but it'll just go ding if you're checking into YouTube or whatever, looking for it. And I was going to say something else, but I can't remember what it was. Like, subscribe, and and if you want to comment, that's helpful to me. It gives me feedback. Comment down below where it says comment. And it'll give you the opportunity to just say whatever it is. I'm open to hearing it. Communication, talking stick, do it.